You're listening to the Raw Reaction on the Angry Marks Podcast Network.
Welcome to Raw Reaction, folks, and tonight is the special Blizzard Juno edition of Raw Reaction. We are here with my main man, Big Dick, and none other than our producer extraordinaire, Killer Kev. How's everybody doing tonight?
I'm happy because I'm not snowed in anywhere.
Well, I'll give you that. I'm happy that I'm not snowed in anywhere either, but I'm not seeing who's happy with WWE after the last 48 hours.
Well, I kind of am, but I actually really liked last night's show, but we'll get to that in a minute. And Kev, we talked a little bit before we got on air with me, you, and Vic about our thoughts about what's going on with tonight's Raw, which is live as we speak. We're actually going to broadcast again at 11, but we were so passionate about the events of last night and tonight that we are on the air now. To level set for everyone, I actually live in Hartford County in Connecticut. Now, those of you who don't know, this is actually really funny stuff. If you look on Hartford Current, you could Google that. That's our big newspaper, current.com. Governor Malloy issued a state of emergency, so he essentially canceled Raw because as of 9 p.m. there's no travel in the state. You'll get a fine, $300 fine if you're seen on the road. Funny enough, one of the questions, I legitimately kid you not, and this is why I'm referring you to the Current site, they actually asked the question, well, what about the big WWE Raw episode tonight? And in Hartford County, we really don't have much going on. As much as I love to talk about the Northeast, Hartford County is not the most happening area. And Governor Malloy made a comment, which I absolutely love. He said, you know, folks, I know you won't believe this, but I think the global economy will go on knowing that WWE won't be broadcast tonight. We really apologize for that, but safety comes first. Awesome stuff by Governor Malloy. So,
you know, that sounds like a Chris Christie line. He could be Chris Christie's running mate.
Well, you know, Malloy's not extremely popular here in the state, and he got into he ran against Linda McMahon, which is funny enough, who was a Republican candidate, and it was a very vicious, this is a couple years ago. This was not this governor race, but before that, it was a very vicious race, and there's a lot of bad blood there, so I'm sure he was very happy to cancel WWE programming. Well,
so basically what you're saying, if Linda McMahon was the governor of Connecticut, you would have we'd have Monday Night Raw tonight. People would be risking life and limb to get to the arena for Monday Night Raw.
I bet you we would, because right now there is snow, and we already have about 6 inches on the ground, but JBL and what you're seeing on Raw sensationalized really what's going on out there. And actually JBL's in Stamford, and if you know the geography of Connecticut, that's about an hour and a half to 2 hours south of Hartford. So whatever's going on there geographically and from a physical weather position, it might not actually be here in Hartford. And Hartford, obviously being a city, you can get in through bus, train, or any other method of transportation. So I'm very surprised the travel ban actually isn't until midnight, given that we really don't have a lot going on from a weather perspective. So, interestingly enough, we get today's Raw. We'll talk about what the WWE superstars are doing in a little bit. But tonight's Raw is essentially a interview show from Stamford, which is live. And they are broadcasting literally the main event, just broadcast from 8 to 9, which was the world title match between Brock Lesnar, Seth Rollins, and John Cena. And as we speak, the Royal Rumble is being broadcast. And that's where our producer passionately will be joining us tonight. Because, Kev, what do you think of the fact that they are broadcasting literally the Royal Rumble on the air as we speak?
The overall reaction that I've found online tonight, and I think this summarizes it best, is that congratulations, WWE Raw is Rumble tonight. WWE finally has the opportunity to disappoint the millions of fans who did not tune in last night.
Well, what do you make of this? I mean, literally the Royal Rumble's on in its entirety.
Oh, I mean, absolutely. It's fucking bullshit. I mean, let's lay this out. What was it? Back in November, new subscribers to WWE Network got WWE Network and Survivor Series for free. Current subscribers? No. You still paid $9.99. December, you had the TLC pay-per-view. You paid $9.99 for that, except the night after on Raw, they redid just about every single match from that show. So it was like you got the pay-per-view for pretty much free. And now here we are in January with the Royal Rumble, and on live TV, you're getting the WWE Heavyweight Championship match 3-way. You're getting the Royal Rumble match that network subscribers paid $9.99 for, but those who didn't pay for the network are now getting it for free on WWE Raw. So 3 months in a row, WWE Network subscribers have been duped out of $9.99 for paying for pay-per-view. Now, let me just say this. Last night, me and Frank Vaughn did a post-pay-per-view podcast where we ran down everything on the pay-per-view. And as we got through it more and more through the night, the more and more bitter I became that we really, for the first time, I felt like we didn't get a pay-per-view that was valued at $39.99 or $49.99 at a $9.99 value. We got a $9.99 pay-per-view. This pay-per-view is on par with a whole month of some jabroni wrestling organization. It's right on, I don't even know if it's right on par. Do you remember when TNA did weekly pay-per-views for $9.99? Do you remember those days? Now, you know, some of those shows were great. Some of those shows were shit. Some of them were mediocre, but you couldn't really complain because it was $9.99. WWE has now hit TNA 2004 pay-per-view buys. That's the quality of the product as I feel right now. I feel like we did just get a $9.99 product. We didn't get a valuable product.
I do disagree with you. I as much as I agree with you that I hate what they're doing by giving Royal Rumble away for free, I thought the pay-per-view was awesome. Now, Vic, I don't know what you think of that. I love the pay-per-view. I might not have liked the Royal Rumble ending itself. I thought it was a great pay-per-view.
Yeah, I unfortunately missed a good portion of it. I liked, from what I read, the main event was freaking spectacular. Or not the main event, the championship match was absolutely spectacular.
Agreed.
Probably like the best match in a couple of years. The few highlights I did see just made it just look insane. And at the end of the day, they got Brock Lesnar over, and I almost want to say he's probably one of the top 2 or 3 most over wrestlers in the company.
I would agree. I think he's one of the most over champions of all time after last night.
Yeah,
now,
I don't think you can disagree with that. I mean, you know, even for, I hate to say this, even for a part-timer, Lesnar came in there and everybody was expecting Lesnar was going to drop the belt. This was it. He wasn't going to be at WrestleMania. His contract's over.
Listen to Raw Reaction last week. Everything me and Vic said was going to happen, and I know people were pissed off because we really ripped on, you know, all the indie darlings, and which we've been a fan of this year, believe it or not.
Right.
But we called this. We said Brock Lesnar would go in there because he does have passion for the industry, and he would represent himself. And look at what happened. This was I would say, Kevin, this might, and maybe this is the honeymoon phase of the fact I just watched a pay-per-view. I would say this is one of the best matches, and if not, the best triple threat match, and I'm not making a joke, that I have seen since Shawn Michaels, Triple H, and Chris Benoit. I thought it was that good.
You know what?
You can't be Chris Benoit.
I'll say it was even better. I
agree.
I think this is actually Brock Lesnar's best match ever.
But why? Why was he so on last night? It was amazing.
Yeah, I mean, it really was. And
I think he knows his contract's up for review. Or not review, but renewal.
Pay him everything. He had his work boots on last night, buddy.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I wouldn't mind it. Shit, you pay him, show up at 12 pay-per-views a year and 12 Raws a year. And I'm content with that.
But there's nobody on the NXT or WWE roster that could draw the awes of astonishment and the reaction that Brock got last night. And that's exactly what I'm talking about the superstar factor. He has brought credibility to the WWE, and I think literally they built this beautiful picture, and whoever beats Brock will be the man. And I think the Royal Rumble match, I hate to say it, really undid all the great work of that match. I really feel bad for Seth Rollins. I feel bad for John Cena, and I feel bad for Brock Lesnar, because John Cena hasn't gotten a lot of love for his part in last night. I thought he really did play a good role, and he didn't overshadow the other guys. Seth Rollins looked like $1 million. I've never seen anyone get so over in a loss. He reminded me of a young Shawn Michaels last night.
Yeah, that was just, from everything I saw, like outside of obviously Brock Lesnar winning and obviously remaining the holder of the belt, Seth Rollins just had a spectacular performance. You see that, the corkscrew moonsault? I don't even fucking know what that was. I saw that part, yeah. But it was freaking, I was like, holy shit. Like, watching
Has he ever used that before, Kev?
I don't remember. But you're right. It was absolutely incredible.
And you knew he was going to go do something big when he came out there, but I didn't know he was going to do that. But, for what it's worth, and this gets back to Raw. I feel like that was something special last night, and I feel like you should have to buy WWE Network or have been there to really appreciate that. And the fact that they're just cheaply putting it on Raw, that reminds me of Nitro at the end of days when they're giving away stuff for free on TV. And I'm really bummed that they just cheapened that match just because it's snowing and they had to cancel Raw for the first time in forever. And now to have your Royal Rumble, arguably your best match and most anticipated match of the year, you're just giving it away for free. I don't get it.
You know what? I think it's not a bad deal. Not a bad idea. Hey, you know what? I get people are pissed off because, hey, they paid their $9.99 and then half of them probably canceled after last night because of, #cancel WWEnetwork.com or whatever. But I don't know. They put on a good show. This, unfortunately, was an act of God. What other options they really had? They basically had the mayor tell them, no, you can't have a show tonight.
Governor, but yes.
What else are you going to do? Are you going to stage the matches in an empty arena or stage them in Stamford, Connecticut?
I don't know. I think you could have done USA probably. The problem they probably had in Vic and Kevin, I didn't think of this, is USA probably told them you need to fill this airtime and you need to do, a show rate. I'm sure there's some kind of thing in their contract that they have to put something on the air that'll draw. And I don't think that there's anything they could do that would fill, 3 hours of TV in an interview setting. So maybe that's why they're doing this. I'd rather them show last year's WrestleMania than this, because it kind of cheapens everything you're trying to sell.
Right.
Maybe if they put the Lesnar Cena match on, did a recap of the main event, but did a real well produced recap of the main event where it puts what's his name in a good light, and then do the main event of WrestleMania. From last year, or do maybe last year's Daniel Bryan Elimination Chamber win. Just do a summary of Royal Rumble, Elimination Chamber, and then play all of Daniel Bryan's WrestleMania win. Well, something like that to build up to, hey, it's WrestleMania season, get you in. Because last year was the storybook ending type thing, where I think, and we can touch on this in a little bit with just a fan reaction, but I think the fans are wrong with this. WWE cannot base their booking on the whims of fans, or else you're going to have guys like Fandango the night after WrestleMania 2 years ago would have had a championship shot at the next pay-per-view. I don't know. You can't just go on a whim. I get, hey, you know what? Tyson Kidd's doing great. He's way over. Cesaro way over. Sandow way over. Ray Wyatt, Seth Rollins, all those guys, they're way over. But you know what? You can't let the fans dictate who is in a match, because, hey, you know what? It was a nice story for Daniel Bryan to get in with the two monsters, the two legends, two former champions, and overcome all odds and win the championship. That's great. That's a good underdog story, but you can't have it every year. What are you going to do? Ed Ziggler is the third man this year and get him to win a championship?
I agree but disagree with you. I absolutely agree that you should not let the fans hijack your product. And I think it was disrespectful to everyone that paid the ticket that actually wanted to be entertained. If you don't like WWE, then don't effing watch it, is what I think. But there does have to be some reasoning here. literally, I think Roman Reigns has done a disservice to himself on the mic, and he hasn't been prepared, and it's shown leading up to it on TV, and I know we've talked about it here, and he's a good worker, no doubt about it, but does he deserve to have the rocket shoved up his bum and beat Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania? I don't think so. But here's where I think the fans actually are somewhat reasonable, where I really think that they're going to be painted as completely unreasonable. So I hear what you're saying about like Damien Sandow. Yeah, I love Damien Sandow, but right now he's kind of a joke. And I don't think I know the fans like him, but I think there's a difference between entertaining, that they're entertained by him, and they think he should be in the main event. I do think that you're right about Kidd and Cesaro. I did watch the pre-match show. The crowd was going apeshit for them. They were so hot for them. Great. But Daniel Bryan gets that little crappy, like, elimination where they just basically dumped him out of the ring like anyone else. Okay? And I get that. I understand that. And I don't get why they did that, but I understand that's what happened. Here's where the fans actually came back, though. They cheered for Ambrose and Ziggler. And I think if Ambrose or Ziggler would have won, no one would have cared. I think we would have been fine.
Yeah, but at the same time, I mean, the thing is, they've gone full, at least in my opinion, Lesnar's over as a face now. We're pretty damn close to it. At least with the vocal mail, he's over as a face. You can't have two. Well, I mean, I guess you can have two faces face off against each other, but it's going to be so much easier to have Reigns go from go away heat, which he got last night.
But that wasn't their intent to turn him heel, though. That's why The Rock came out to try and save him, which didn't work.
Well, that's the question, though. Did The Rock come out to try to save him, or did he try to come out to steal his spotlight in Reigns' eyes? I could see him tagging up at the next pay-per-view, Reigns turning his back on The Rock, beating the piss out of him, and guess what? All of a sudden, he's a pretty big heel.
If that's what they booked, they're brilliant then. I mean, honestly, if that's the way they're going, I don't think WWE can think that far ahead. Let me ask you this question, and I'll extend it to Kev too. Just they've been making some interesting decisions, and I've actually read a lot of people that shared this, and I thought it myself when I was watching the pay-per-view. So Bray Wyatt and Rusev kicked ass last night. They look great. Why in the world did WWE choose to have Big Show and Kane be the wrecking machine that dumped out all those guys when they could have just used Bray Wyatt and Rusev? I really don't understand that booking.
Yeah, I mean, you sort of knew at that point. It's down to the three of them after Ambrose was. I mean, shit, Big Show, Kane, they're lucky to even have matches on pay-per-view anymore.
You know what?
Like, they're not going to be wrestling. I mean, at the end, when it was down to those three after Ambrose got eliminated, I think everybody in the arena knew, hey, you know what? Somehow Reigns is going to overcome the odds and win the match. There was no way they were going to put Kane in the main event of WrestleMania at his age and his cheesy corporate Kane angle.
Big Show, no. So what were we going to say, Kev?
The reason that they did it is because it's once again pushing this tired old storyline that the Authority will always win. And the story that they're trying to push here is that sometimes the Authority doesn't win, the right guy wins. Except as we saw, the right guy didn't quite win because he absolutely did not go over with the fans at all. Yeah. And he only did, in fact, he could only do it with a bullshit ending. Roman Reigns, once again, could not win this match on his own. Almost like Dolph Ziggler could not win the Survivor Series on his own. It took a big mega superstar, a retired one, who's no longer active in pro wrestling, to come do it in Sting. Now with Roman Reigns? No, Roman Reigns couldn't get this done on his own. It took a bigger superstar, a retired, non-active superstar, The Rock, to come get him over. And man, I really think there's two things that pissed fans off about this. I think the first one is the fact that Roman Reigns couldn't stand on his own. They had to send The Rock out there to make the save and to put him over. And if you watched the post interview after the pay-per-view, they basically had The Rock cut all of Roman Reigns' post interview promo for him.
I saw that.
Absolutely horrible.
It was really bad. It was embarrassing.
I know The Rock didn't do it intentionally. But Jesus Christ, it's The Rock. He's gonna upstage fucking anybody. least of all, he has now completely upstaged his own cousin that WWE is, desperately trying to get over. And I think fans would like to see him get over, but he can't get over if you've got The Rock standing right there in his way, at his side, cutting his promos, telling jabronis to quit grinning or slap his lips off, and then saying, now ask him the question and let Roman get in 3 words before you start answering his question for him. Right. Yet again, that was absolutely pitiful. The other thing, and Frank brought this up last night, and I in retrospect, I do have to agree with them. The truth of the matter is, we were told months ago, essentially, that Roman Reigns would win the Royal Rumble, and that Brock Lesnar would retain his title, and it would be the two of them at WrestleMania. And I don't have a problem with that match in and of itself. What I have a problem with, and what Frank had a problem with, is that we knew this months in advance, and there was nothing special done. I mean, basically, the way I've described it, it's like WWE delivered this moment with about as much enthusiasm as the lunch lady slapping a glob of mystery meat on your tray.
I hear you. I agree with you. Like I said, I think the show was good. I actually thought the Royal Rumble was good up until everybody was in the ring, like at the end, until 30 came out. My thing is this though. I want to understand why you can't have an agent, a manager, anyone come down to the ring. I mean, it was so abundantly clear. And I know Philadelphia in itself can't just dictate a pay-per-view, but it's clear over the last couple of weeks that they should have went another way. I mean, and they could have. They still could have went another way. You don't have to be married to that decision. And we saw a lot of commentary on the internet. I know Reddit user, Mets fan forever, who posts all those leaks, said that there were cracks in the foundation with them being confident in Roman Reigns. I mean, I don't think it's too late to change. Maybe have Roman Reigns put his shot on the line. I mean, I don't think it should be Daniel Bryan. Honestly, I think he's the very last person that should put in that spot. I think it would be ridiculous. He did it last year, and there's no reason he should do it again. Yeah, he's super over. That's great. But why not go with a Dolph Ziggler? Why not go with a Dean Ambrose? Because guess what? If you go with Reigns, he stays face and he beats Brock Lesnar. I don't really think it's going to get him to that next level. You just created Seth Rollins last night at an elite level. Daniel Bryan's already at an elite level. John Cena's already at an elite level. Randy Orton's at an elite level. Let Ziggler or Ambrose put that rocket up their ass and beat Lesnar. And you got 5 guys. I don't get why they wouldn't do that. It's so freaking clear, I think.
Hey, I got an idea. I'm booking WrestleMania.
What are you gonna do?
All right. How about Ambrose? He has more credibility than just about everybody right about now. He possibly the best night out of everybody last night, aside from
Rollins.
I'm sorry, Rollins. Yeah, I apologize. Yeah, Rollins, best night out of everybody. What if he comes out after either this next week's Raw or the pay-per-view or whenever, and says, I'm going to cash in my Money in the Bank briefcase against the winner of Brock Lesnar, Roman Reigns.
That solves the problem, or he can insert himself in a triple threat. Love it.
Because then he's over, then you get those two kicking the shit out of each other, basically coming in next match fresh to end a pay-per-view. That way, I mean, he's coming in as even a bigger shithead, bigger cheater, and he literally tells him that's what it's like. I'm cashing in for the main event of WrestleMania.
It solves the problem. I mean, it solves the problem you have right now. Not no one, because listen, I'm gonna support WWE. I enjoyed the pay-per-view. I can tell you guys, it's the last time. I can't remember the last time I literally watched a pay-per-view from the minute it started to the minute it ended, and I actually watched the whole thing. I don't ever do that. I watched the whole thing. And it kept my interest. I thought it was a really good pay-per-view. Outside of the Divas match, I thought everything was good except the ending of the Royal Rumble. So, tonight was a night they really needed to get on TV and fix things. This is unfortunate for WWE. And I don't know if we talked about this, but WWE has not only canceled Raw tonight, but they canceled SmackDown tomorrow. So what they've done is, if SmackDown was in Boston, and what they've done, because SmackDown's taped on Tuesday, viewed on Thursday, what they've done is they've said anyone with a ticket for Raw, and this is going to piss people off too, anybody with a ticket for Raw Monday will be allowed to go to this Super SmackDown on Thursday, which is going to be held at the same place, the XL Center in Hartford, and the tickets will be valid. They are not offering refunds for Monday. Tuesday, they are offering refunds, or you can go to the next house show that comes to Boston. I think that's a really risky move by the WWE. Any thoughts on that?
You know what? I think that I think that they'll probably put it where, hey, you can exchange the tickets, or if you want to get your money back, you can do whatever. I don't think they're going to be super unaccommodating here.
Go to the webpage. Go to WWE.com.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, I couldn't
and
believe
the
it.
thing is, if they get guff about it, I could see that changing very quickly.
True. Well, you're right. The travel ban actually lasts till tomorrow morning. Like, they didn't put an end time on it yet. So with with Excel Center being the site of Thursday SmackDown, that actually means the WWE wrestlers will be here in Hartford through Thursday.
I thought
Now,
SmackDown was in Boston. They were saying.
what I'm trying to tell you, it got canceled.
Oh, okay.
So what they did is they canceled Boston SmackDown because there's no way the storm doesn't kick in really till about midnight tonight, and it's supposed to go all the way through tomorrow. I mean, every report is saying 2 to 3 feet between Hartford and Boston. I don't know how true that is. I don't put much stock into weather, but I mean it's a blizzard warning for both areas. So WWE and TD Bank Center already canceled all that. So SmackDown's moving back to the Excel Center, which I think is interesting. They're not going to have it in Boston, so they're moving it back to Hartford. There's an event at the TD Center on Thursday, and there's not at Excel. That's why they're moving to Excel. Now, the tickets actually are still available, too, at the Excel Center for the Super SmackDown, which we found out the main event's going to be Daniel Bryan versus Kane in a casket match. Interesting. But all the superstars are in Hartford till Thursday. So they're at a hotel. It's actually in Wethersfield. The majority of the superstars. It's in the Wethersfield Rocky Hill border. And Dolph Ziggler and Zack Ryder actually posted pictures from the Denny's in Wethersfield. And Dolph went over to the Walmart in Rocky Hill right after. So they're not actually in Hartford. That hotel actually holds a very special place in my heart because that's like a really known WWE hotel in that area. I actually went there for a training when WWE was in town, probably about 5 or 6 years ago. And when I was at the training in this hotel, I noticed, kid you not, Heidenreich, who was one half of LOD at the time. It might have actually been like 7 years ago. He was having lunch or breakfast, whatever he was eating in the hotel. And, he was just eating whatever. I said to people at my table, that's Heidenreich. Pretty interesting. So he was in a room that was over by the conference room we were at, and they share rooms. And my group was being very loud. We're just obnoxious people, and we were quite loud. And coming out of the room, Heidenreich was heading back towards. Literally, a giant man walked out and said, "Can you people quiet down out here? People are trying to sleep." It was none other than WWE Hall of Famer Animal. I kid you not. And I literally said, on behalf of the people I was with down the hall, sorry, I apologize, because he was right. We were being very loud. So it goes to show you I could have been killed by the LOD. And in that hotel right now is all the WWE superstars. The majority of them.
Dude, it would be awesome if let's just say you did not have a reason to sit around where I forget what town you're in, whatever suburb, and you just went to the hotel where all the wrestlers were staying. That would be probably freaking awesome. We could have done a podcast from there.
I can assure you, because I know the area very well. There's only 3 bars literally within like 5 miles of where they're staying. So anybody who's listening to this, it's in Connecticut. You can go to the Wooden Tap in Rocky Hill, the On the Border in Rocky Hill, or the Tilted Kilt in Wethersfield. There's only 3 bars. That is where the WWE superstars will be tonight, tomorrow night, and Wednesday night. So if you want to meet WWE superstars, just go bar hopping between those 3 bars, and I guarantee you can. For me,
there's no hotel.
What's that?
There's no bar at the hotel.
No, there's not. It's a weird hotel. It's actually got a big dining area, but I don't believe they have a liquor license. Interesting. Here's why. This is a little fun fact. The town of Wethersfield only holds a certain amount of liquor licenses, so it's very hard to get one, and a place has to actually close down for you to get one. Interesting, right? See, we're full service here. We're full educational here. This was going to be a good show tonight. I knew it. So you're getting really on the inside tonight at Raw Reaction. Now, speaking of the LOD, I got to ask you guys, because I'm a little bummed by this, because it was a big loss for me. I was so excited that the first match of the night was the New Age Outlaws at the Royal Rumble versus the Ascension. I'm a huge fan of both teams. That match just sucked, and I was really bummed because I thought it was going to deliver. But I enjoyed the characters, and I enjoyed the fact the Ascension won, but I just feel like the match came off pretty weak. Do you guys think that the Ascension's just a really bad idea that's not going to work? I mean, they worked in NXT. I don't know what's going on. What do you guys think?
I don't know. Adam Rose worked in NXT too, so I'm not going to put too much stock in what works and what doesn't work in NXT.
Kev, Ascension, I didn't hear the podcast last night. Were you guys killing them?
I thought it was actually a really good match. I thought it was a really good choice to put him up against the New Age Outlaws because, for one, they are a legendary team, but two, they are not a beat-up legendary team at all. I mean, over the last year, those guys are just in phenomenal shape, and every time they've stepped in the ring, it looks like, I mean, remember joking, even back when they went to TNA in 2006, 2007? We were cracking jokes that they were the old age Outlaws at that point. I mean, they didn't look bad then, but they were just long in the tooth. But for some reason, they've looked so fresh returning to WWE in 2014, 2015. They're a very fluid tag team. They are in shape. They're not banged up. So they were a great tag team to put the Ascension up against for so many reasons. But after the way that the Ascension has been booked, which is completely different than how they were booked in NXT, making the jokes about all the old tag teams and then the poor ass kicking that they had to endure last week,
Yeah.
which in some ways, is not a bad thing, because when you get to rub elbows with so many guys like that all at once, I think it kind of says something about what everybody else in that locker room thinks about the Ascension if they're willing to go out there and to work with them like that, because that was just absolutely humiliating. I mean, if you don't like a tag team, you're not going to do that for them. You're just not going to do nothing. And if you have to get in there, you're not going to sell for them at all. But give your props to the New Age Outlaws. They put over Ascension like $1 million, and Ascension really needs it because Vince McMahon has fucked them up so bad. If they had lost a match, that may have been it for their career on Raw. I'm not even sure if they could return back to NXT and do anything, and that's unfortunate because these guys are talented. So very happy they got a win.
2 questions with that. I guess my first question to you would be, I actually comment before the 2 questions. I agree with you. The Outlaws look better now than they've ever looked. But here's my 2 questions. Number 1, before you answer number 2. Number 1, why did the Ascension look so? You mentioned how fluid the Outlaws look. They look good, but I thought the Ascension did not look fluid, which is the opposite of everything I've watched on NXT. And Connor, particularly, he looked almost scared. I mean, he was moving terribly. They really messed up the Fall of Man. It was probably the worst I've ever seen them use it. They really screwed it up. They looked so scared and flat out there. I was disappointed. And then I would ask, secondly, to that point, how could 4 guys that are that talented be upstaged by The Miz, Sandow, and Usos? And that blew my mind because I didn't think those 4 were capable of topping the other 4.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to chalk it up just to pay-per-view nerves and the fact that they were on board with one of the biggest tag teams ever. But that kind of played into things, especially after the ass kicking they got on Raw. I would expect a team coming into WWE kayfabe wise to be shooken up like that. Guys that they've looked up to and they've seen and they've imitated over the years. Now you're stepping in the ring with them and you got to find your own footing in this company, and you got to put your foot down and basically announce, you know what, you guys were great, but your time has passed. This time is now our time to show what we can do. And in the end, that's what the Ascension did. It wasn't absolutely fluid, but it made a statement.
Understood.
What was the other question again?
I was surprised that the Usos and Sandow and Miz were able to upstage the Outlaws and Ascension. On paper, I didn't think that was even possible, but they did, and I was disappointed.
I wouldn't call it upstage. I mean, they put on a good match. Don't get me wrong on that.
They put on a longer match. I mean, they probably had a little bit more time. I mean, the Ascension, they just don't look like built for a 15-minute match.
Not yet.
I'm not sure that the New Age Outlaws aren't really built for a 15-minute match either, or even a 10-minute match. So they gave them a 5-minute match, and they succeeded in putting over the Ascension.
I would agree.
I think that the Miz Sandow and the Usos, they're good workers. They can put on a 10, 12-minute match, keep it entertaining, a little bit more fluid in running around a ring, as opposed to the powerhouses like Ascension. So, I mean, I can see why they made it a little bit longer, whatever, to get their spots in.
Miz is a good tag team wrestler. He gets better every week. And he's terrible in singles, but man, he's a very good tag team wrestler. I really like what Miz has been doing.
Yeah, I'm not disappointed with Miz either.
Now, let me ask you guys another question. So, here we are. We're I thought tonight we were going to have a little sci-fi theater. It's funny, Vic was texting me while I was working, and I thought, they were going to do a lot of spoofy, crazy stuff with the snow, and they started out this way tonight with the JBL weather report, but that was it. And they've just been showing the Royal Rumble since. And I thought we were going to have some fun with it and basically explain to everybody what we were watching and make fun of it. It's been quite the opposite, but I was thinking about this. You guys tell me. There is a Royal Rumble in its entirety being shown on WWE Raw right now. Vince McMahon. Will there be revisionist history here? And will they pipe out the boos for Roman Reigns? This is a bigger crowd than what's seen the Royal Rumble. Will they alter the ending of the Royal Rumble, the last 10 minutes? Guys.
I don't know. I really don't know. I can see where the temptation is there for it, but if they do, everybody who watched the pay-per-view live is going to know that that's what they did.
Get called out for that. What they might do, I would think, is sort of like what Kev does with the show, is sort of splice stuff in there. So maybe, like, instead of walking around and getting booed the shit out of, they cut to the part where Triple H and Stephanie McMahon come out and do the stare down. By the way, Stephanie McMahon's tits look spectacular.
They're really big.
They were. I'm just like, holy shit, those things are pretty spectacular. But I think that they cut to Triple H or Stephanie, because what that does is make him look more of a face, which I think they're still trying to salvage him as.
I never thought the day would come, though, where a crowd was chanting Rusev, 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 and the minute he popped up from the ring, the crowd went crazy and was hoping Rusev won the Royal Rumble. That is unbelievable.
I thought they were saying it just because everybody knew that he wasn't in the ring.
No,
I didn't know that
he never got eliminated.
Yeah, but the thing is, he was sitting, like, where he was laying was out on that side, like, on the opposite side of where our camera was. Like, he was, like, laying on the ground out there, and the chants started coming from the section right there that could see him, I think.
Yeah.
So it might have just been more like everybody's pointing and sort of cheering because they knew he was going to come back in and try something. So I think they definitely ruined the almost climactic ending there with Rusev. But I don't know if they were cheering for him to beat Roman Reigns or what. I mean, I don't necessarily think that's the case. I think that they were just sort of cheering to, hey, you forgot about this guy.
Yeah. You know what would have been fun? We're watching Kofi come in right now, and Kofi got caught by Adam Rose's his whatever he calls it, what does he call those guys? The Exotic Express, whatever the hell they are. His little group that follows him around, the Rosebuds. Yeah, so the Rosebuds caught Kofi when he fell over, and they caught him and put him back in the ring, which was pretty crazy. I think it would have been fun if, at least for, a couple people, maybe 5 or 6 people, it would have been really unique if Adam Rose kept being eliminated and kept being brought back in by the crowd. Like, do it like 5 or 6 times, let him last for a while, and finally have Big Show like throw him over the Rosebuds. Wouldn't that have been cool? I mean, I think that's kind of an obvious spot. I thought it was pretty ingenious by WWE to even think of that, but they really didn't utilize such a cool spot as well as they could have, I think. It could have made Adam Rose kind of like the innovator of the Royal Rumble. Don't you guys think? I mean, I was thinking that,
I think Adam Rose is so insignificant right now in WWE that they're just like, we're going to use that for Kofi's silly little, his one-off almost elimination trick that he does, where he lands on the stairs, or he lands on the announce table, or he lands on a chair, or lands on a railing. Hey, guess what? He landed with the Exotic Express. That's where he landed this year. Where will he land next year?
Adam Rose isn't going to be in the WWF much longer.
Yeah, I really don't think so. I don't even know why he's coming out with those guys as his entourage. I mean, it seems like the fighter, they always cheer for the other team and stuff. I'd be pissed if I was him. I'm like, yo, you guys are wrestling in some shitbag independent league that wrestles like Tuesday nights, and people pay $5 to get in, and they're bringing you on TV and making you guys famous, letting you dance around to get on national television and pay-per-views and stuff, and you guys did me like that, I'd be pretty pissed.
Yeah, well, one thing that I learned last night, and I actually didn't actually think it would play out this way, they only had 17 people booked for the Royal Rumble, and we saw Bubba Ray Dudley, we saw DDP, and I think WWE missed a real big opportunity with the pay-per-view. You look at the roster that was on WWE last night, and I actually didn't think the roster was thin at all, but now I actually do think the roster's thin, especially with the number of injuries. They could have put in Sheamus, they could have put in Randy Orton, but I think the opportunity that WWE missed last night was you could have had all the big current NXT stars in the Battle Royal, even though they wouldn't have won. Most of them are high flyers that are pretty technical, like your Adrian Nevilles and your Sami Zayns, your Finn Balor's, your Hideo Itami's. You could have put 4 or 5 of those guys in this Royal Rumble, and I think they would have made a really lasting impact. And I'm really surprised WWE didn't take advantage of this venue to do that. What about you, Kev?
Maybe. I'm not quite sure. I think really the focus was kind of on point that we were going to put over Roman Reigns. And, I don't have a problem putting over Roman Reigns. Overall, I didn't have too much of a problem with the Rumble. I thought maybe they missed a little bit of an opportunity. They had Bubba Ray there. They couldn't get Devon? Really?
No. Well, isn't the point of the Rumble not to put someone over? It's the gimmick match itself. The Rumble's bigger than any one person. I've never thought the Rumble has created anyone. That's not what it's there for. I didn't think. I guess that's what the WrestleMania main event's for.
Well, yeah. I mean, really, you're right on that. There, it's and I hate to go back to last night's podcast with Frank Von. He rightly pointed this out. Royal Rumble is the only pay-per-view that's not in it for itself. Everything about Royal Rumble is about setting up for WrestleMania. So you're right there. But the Royal Rumble match itself, there's always these people that come in that get just a little bit of a shine that gives you a preview of what you could expect maybe throughout the whole year. And you're right. In the past, they have utilized some guys in that very well, bringing them up from NXT or from other developmentals, and you definitely really didn't see that this year.
Yeah, I don't know. I think they went the right. I like the surprise entrance. It's always cool, and they actually picked 2 guys that aren't jokes, like Bubba Ray. I understand they wanted to put him in his gimmick because he's not a full-time wrestler yet for them. He'd have to sign, and they don't know if that's something that's going to happen. So you don't want to go push TNA's main wrestler if he resigns, but.
No, he's not going back to TNA. Not anytime soon, anyway.
Then he'd be great in the WWE. Just be the character he played in TNA, and he'll be just fine. And
hey, take him up with Kofi Kingston. They're probably the second best tag team in the tag team division.
I got to tell you, there's something I loved about R-Truth playing Devon. That was so funny. I mean, it was so cool. It really plays into a couple things. How crazy the Bubba Ray character is. That he can just go with that, and it makes sense to him in his mind. And the fact that Bubba Ray is so over and so awesome that we would just accept R-Truth playing the role of Devon and think it's awesome. It was really cool. It was a good moment. And I'm happy for R-Truth. It was cool that he got to be part of it. It was definitely cool. Definitely a cool moment. That's what's awesome at the Royal Rumble. And DDP giving everybody diamond cutters was super cool too. So, you know what, man? I like guys coming back. I think they could have done even more guys coming back in this Royal Rumble because there's a couple guys, that you look at and you wonder why WWE would waste spots. Like the idea for Titus O'Neil was he was supposed to be eliminated in 1 second and it got botched. Here's my question. We've already seen the 1 second elimination. What good does it do for anyone for Titus O'Neil to come out and get eliminated in 1 second? What good does that do? Why? What's the point?
I don't know. Especially Titus O'Neil. I mean, I don't even think he's on SmackDown anymore. I don't watch SmackDown, but I'm not even sure if he's even wrestling on SmackDown anymore. He's probably about as many wins as Zack Ryder does in the last
But
2
why do
years.
that to him though? So we've seen the 1 second elimination before. It's been done. So that spot isn't going to get anything from the crowd. You think of spots, right? You think of Warlord getting eliminated in 2 seconds. So there was really no point in Santino getting eliminated in 1 second. But that was a memorable moment when Warlord got eliminated. Another memorable moment was when Axe got 1 and Smash got 2. You know, that was awesome in the Royal Rumble. It's never, no one ever saw anything like that. Face versus face, tag team, brother versus brother, right? You know, and then to like basically have Titus O'Neil come out. What bothers me about that is you just wasted a spot where somebody could have done something with that valuable time. And even if it's 2 minutes, look at what Booker T did the night he came back and he kicked the crap out of the Nexus. And he didn't even eliminate anybody, but in 1 minute and 58 seconds and getting eliminated right before the next guy came out. It's one of the most memorable moments I can remember in a Royal Rumble. And they could have used that time to do something with somebody. And I just feel bad for Titus O'Neil, and I just think it's WWE just really thinks everyone's stupid sometimes. And it's like, you had this great pay-per-view, and you really blew the end of the pay-per-view, and it all ended around number 20, right? I mean, that's kind of where it all went downhill. It was like the first, I know people are going to get upset because the Daniel Bryan is in the first 20, but Bray Wyatt went through people. Bubba came back. There was a lot of good things that happened in the first 20 moves. And the Royal Rumble is like a match that you can't screw up. It's impossible to screw up. It's the match itself is so awesome of a formula, and it's once per year. There's no way to screw it up. Even last year with Bautista, I don't think they screwed up the Royal Rumble itself. I think they just picked the wrong guy. This year, they actually screwed up the whole match. And that's a bummer, because I love the match and the excitement of it so much. That's all. I don't know if you guys agree or disagree. I'll take that as a no. Well, other than that, we have another hour of Raw, and I would assume, you know, we're going to just run down the WrestleMania card. I can't imagine there's going to be too much more we see tonight.
Hey, I got an idea. Why don't we, instead of that, let's play future bookings. I mean, I don't really give a shit what goes on with the rest of Raw. I mean, basically just replaying a pay-per-view.
Yep.
And maybe some cool commentary from JBL.
Well, I mean, I don't know if you know this, Vic, but do you know what was announced during Raw? Rusev is going to, this is really surprising because there was a, Kevin mentioned last night there was an after show, and actually it started very prominently, and Rock was doing speaking for Roman Reigns, and then right after that, they cut to John Cena, and John Cena was going to say a couple words about the match. He was clearly disappointed, obviously, in the loss, and he was cut off by Rusev, and the two of them almost killed each other because Cena was very upset that Rusev would cut him off and disrespect him. Triple H just signed a match for Fastlane. Rusev is actually going to take on John Cena, not at WrestleMania, but at Fastlane, and Triple H is calling out Sting to a showdown, whatever that means. But actual match between Cena and Rusev. I'm really surprised they're going to do that before WrestleMania.
You know what? I think they do that because I could see it just being a throwaway match. Somebody gets involved, something happens, DQ, something like that, setting up a rematch at WrestleMania.
I can see that. Okay, that makes sense. So then we know, yeah, there's no way that Rusev's going to get beat.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Kev.
I didn't say anything.
Oh, there was a little feedback there. They're not, I don't think they're going to waste Rusev's undefeated streak at Fastlane. When he goes down, it's going to probably be at WrestleMania.
I wouldn't mind seeing Cena wrestle. I was thinking either Daniel Bryan or Cena is going to be the one to end the streak.
I don't mind Cena ending the streak. I'm looking forward to seeing Cena finally put Rusev down. I don't care. It's cool to me.
Yeah, exactly. And you know what? That would actually help Cena get a little over as opposed to being hated. I mean, the real Cena hater is going to hate him, but going in and beating an asshole like Rusev, that makes you sort of a pretty good face.
I have a bad feeling about a couple things. So it's all but been confirmed that Bray Wyatt will be facing The Undertaker at WrestleMania, and Undertaker is apparently coming back.
Wow. I didn't know that. That's
all the
that's
dirt.
pretty crazy.
It explains why Bray Wyatt beat Ambrose so cleanly. It explains why Bray Wyatt was so prominent last night. One thing I do like about the Bray Wyatt Daniel Bryan thing is WWE has kind of set up a scenario where Daniel Bryan's pretty much unbeatable, but Bray Wyatt really seems to be his kryptonite. Kind of like Shelton Benjamin was Triple H's kryptonite. Certain guys just always have certain guys' numbers, and Bray Wyatt tends to be that guy for Daniel Bryan. I actually think Bray Wyatt, to your question about fantasy booking, is going to take on Daniel Bryan at Fastlane, and I think Daniel Bryan's actually going to lose to Bray Wyatt. What do you think of that?
You think that The Undertaker's going to lose to Bray Wyatt?
No, I think Undertaker will beat Bray Wyatt, but I think Bray Wyatt will beat Daniel Bryan at Fastlane.
You know what? If he's wrestling Undertaker, I could see it happening.
Right? I mean, they have to build him, and Daniel Bryan.
What do you do? I guess my question is, let's play booking here for the WrestleMania. I think Seth Rollins, he's either going to get into the main event or he's going to face Rated RKO out of nowhere. What do you do with people like Ambrose, Ziggler, like who else? Like Cesaro, Sandow, like the people who are like really far over. I was almost thinking you do, and you could even do with the Daniel Bryan and I guess are they going to have the Battle Royal? That's sort of stupid that they're going to have it. I don't know. I don't like Battle Royals. I felt like this was very similar to Survivor Series, where you had a lot of good people and people who could carry a match and possibly have the match of the show just in that match. It was sort of similar to everybody, like all the best wrestlers outside like champion at Survivor Series were either wrestling in the Survivor Series match or wrestling in some random feud. And I feel like it's the same way when you have put 20, 30 people in one match, you are going to have guys like Ambrose who don't have a match. And I'd rather see him in a one-on-one match with somebody than see him for 4 minutes or 20 minutes or something with 10 other people in the ring.
Well, I don't know, man. I don't really know what they're going to do with all these people, but they always seem to find a way to pair everyone off.
What if Daniel Bryan Ziggler was for a championship shot at the next pay-per-view at WrestleMania?
Who knows? I mean, I just think they have a big problem, and especially losing a week like they're going to do this week. I think they got a lot of stuff to sort out. I don't know. Kev, I don't know if you agree. I think the product's in trouble right now. I really do, and I'm worried about it. I love WWE, but
oh yeah, the product is majorly in trouble right now. And a point I wanted to make earlier that I think is a good time to reemphasize this. The problem with this is not Roman Reigns. The problem with this is not Daniel Bryan. It's not any of the wrestlers. It's not the wrestling. The problem with this is Vince McMahon and his writing and the choices that he makes, the choices that he thinks are what's going to make his money. And I think WWE is finding out that because of the choices that they're making, they're not making the money that they want to, and the fans are not responding the way that they want to. The reason that you have a hashtag cancel WWE Network, I'll tell you exactly why, because this is why I canceled. The product that WWE Network presents right now, it is stale. Yes, a good chunk of that is a great big back catalog of lots of pro wrestling. But you know what? And honestly, we had a lot of that already on YouTube for free. Between WWE and all the video pirates out there, we pretty much already had that.
And they got rid of all of it.
You know what? Well, I mean, WWE got rid of theirs, but the pirated stuff is still out there. You're not going to eliminate it. If you want to get on, the Pirate Bay, BitTorrent, Usenet news groups, whatever, there's plenty of ways to go find this old content. So it's not unique to WWE Network most of the time to see a lot of this older stuff. So what does that leave you? That leaves you the current product. Well, the current product is obviously not very engaging at all. And plus, on top of that, do you get to watch Raw live on WWE Network? No. You have to have a cable subscription for that. Do you get to see SmackDown live on WWE Network? No. You have to get a
Kev, why is that? Why wouldn't you have Raw up on Tuesday? I don't understand. I get why they can't show it live, but why do they wait so damn long to post a Raw?
Well, I'm getting to that. You can't watch Raw or SmackDown without first having a cable or satellite subscription. So you can't see it live. And then the replays after that, they've sold those rights to Hulu, so you don't get to see those replays up immediately. And, 30 days before you can see any current product? So, I mean, that locks out of people a lot of people right there, you're either paying, at a minimum $30 a month to your cable company to watch it live, or you're paying an additional $9 a month to Hulu to watch it 24 hours later. And then after that, you don't get it live. So you've got this old product which isn't unique. You got new product that you can't actually watch, the current stuff on TV, the stuff they're pushing that's so important to them. You can't see that on WWE Network for 30 additional days. So what does that leave you? That leaves you NXT, which is great, Superstars, which is good. But the majority of the programming that's on there is just rehashed programming. It's dumb stuff that they were already doing on YouTube for free. I mean, so what is left in the value of a WWE Network subscription? It's the pay-per-view, and that's it. And now they've given that away 3 times now on the cable network. So I mean, what's the point of continue to take a kick in your balls and in your wallet as well if WWE is just going to continue to give away the value? There's nothing there. That's why WWE Network is losing subscriptions, and that's why even the expansion into Canada didn't help to offset the losses in the U.S., and that's going to be why the expansion to UK isn't going to help offset the losses in the U.S. I guarantee you, I'm going to say it right now, first quarter 2015, WWE Network subscriptions aren't going to break 20,000 new subscriptions. They are losing so much, and I'll tell you why. I'll tell you how I know this. When I called in to cancel my WWE Network subscription the day after John Cena brought the Authority back, stupidest fucking angle ever. And I'll say it, worse than Hornswoggle as WWE Raw Anonymous General Manager. I mean, this is just absolutely bad. This makes the gobbledygooker look like fucking brilliance. I mean, I would rather have a month of Gene Snitsky back than this. I would rather have Mike Adamle calling matches for 3 months than to ever see what they did with John Cena and the Authority. But so I canceled. The day that I canceled, I couldn't even get into WWE's management page to cancel my subscription because so many people were flooding the network, just like they were last night, actually. So I called in to the phone number, and they asked me, "Are you canceling because of a technical problem?" I said, "No, I'm canceling because I don't find the product compelling or interesting anymore. I don't want to continue to pay for it." The person who answered the phone said, "We're getting a lot of calls like that. I understand."
Whoa.
He probably shouldn't have said it, but when the guys running, the phones and technical support and billing for WWE Network tell you we're getting a lot of calls like that, that is not what's best for business.
No.
Yeah, I just hope they don't fast track Daniel Bryan or Ambrose or what's his name, Ziggler into the pay-per-view. I think that would cheapen it. And it would show to fans, hey, you know what, you can take over a show, and we're going to eventually do what you want. And you're going to have that forever. It's going to be the flavor of, I don't want to say the month, because those guys were favorites for a good part of the year, but it's going to be whoever the crowd is into the most that night.
Dude, the problem you have now, though, is the Marks and the Smarks are on the same page. Like, I'm a Mark, right? I love classic WWE, and I'm like a Hogan guy and like a Lesnar guy and a Rock guy. And our Smark friends, they love they love all the high flyers, right? And all the indie darlings. And I think we all kind of agree that although a lot of us like Roman Reigns, he shouldn't be the guy in the main event. And that is the recipe to turn your crowd against you. So, at least they could have, they're never going to make the Smarks happy with Roman Reigns. But what would have been funny? If Roman Reigns grabbed the mic, and I think the Marks would have went friggin' crazy for this. Grabbed the mic at the end and stood on the rope and did a Batista and said, "You know what, guys? Deal with it." Same thing Batista said last year. That would have been the ultimate FU, and the Marks would have loved it.
Yeah, but he's nowhere in that position to pull it off. I mean, if people didn't hate legit X-Pac, get off my TV hate him, after the pay-per-view last night, if he had done that might have been a career killer right there. And honestly, I mean, even think back, look back, what happened with Batista? Batista did it. what did it really do for him for the rest of his time that he spent in WWE? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. Went nowhere.
I think that actually screwed Batista, and for Reigns to have said the same thing, I think it would have been funny because it would have been like, I don't care. I understand I'll just put it this way. But to your point about go away X-Pac, Reigns is getting that. I don't think Batista actually had Reigns go or had X-Pac go away heat. I think he had, we don't want you in the spot. You haven't been here. You don't deserve it because you're not physically out of shape, but you're cardio out of shape, and you shouldn't be taking the spot because you haven't been here. That's different. Because I think Batista actually, when he was with Evolution and after the WrestleMania match, the crowd was kind of into him. So I don't think they hated him. I think they hated that he was in the spot. I think Reigns is actually getting hated, which is different.
No, I think it's the same thing. I think WWE put Reigns in a bad spot, just like they put Batista in a bad spot.
But Batista is accomplished. Reigns is not.
Right. I mean, but it's still the same way. I mean, last year everything was set up that this was going to be Daniel Bryan's moment, and they once again screwed him over. So, I mean, that's why Rey Mysterio got booed. It's not because it was Rey Mysterio. It's because it was the wrong person in the wrong spot at the wrong time.
It's because Randy Orton had the title. If Brock Lesnar had this 1 year run and ended Undertaker's streak a year earlier, I really think people would have been behind Batista being the guy to take on Brock Lesnar. Imagine Batista never came back and Brock had this run right now. I think the crowd would appreciate and want to see Batista try and take Brock Lesnar down. I do. I call me crazy, but I think it's all about matchups.
Maybe. Yeah, I mean, really though, what I am seeing from all this, I think you said something really smart that I just meant, that the Smarks and the Marks are on the same page. And I think you're absolutely right, because everybody that the Smarks like and everybody that the Marks like, those two groups don't really cross each other, but right now, they're both getting screwed by the Authority.
Yeah, but dude, that's what I'm saying. The Marks actually, remember, I admitted in the long run Batista was the wrong choice and was terrible. But if you guys remember, I loved it. I was going crazy that Batista won the Royal Rumble. And a lot of the Marks were happy about it because, one of our own's back. And I think with Reigns, there is nobody outside of Big Dick that's happy about this.
Well, like I said, I'm not unhappy that Reigns is in that spot. I think Reigns has worked really hard to try to move up the position as best as he can. I've seen a couple of wrestling commentators make this point today. People are upset because it's the old guard, it's the Authority, and it's the John Cena, and it's the Kanes and the Randy Ortons that are getting all the shine for the most part, that are getting the big important matches. And there's no new blood. Roman Reigns is new blood. And he's good, and he's talented, and he's busted his ass to move up the card. He definitely should be a guy who gets a title shot. But, the way WWE's just absolutely booked things, you're gonna put him against a monster Brock Lesnar, a guy that two very talented people couldn't even put away, even with a kayfabed broken rib. What's Roman Reigns going to do? Roman Reigns is seen as, character-wise, having a much weaker chink in his armor than either Cena or Seth Rollins. And, I mean, it's a little bit of a hard sell. And it's unfortunate because Roman Reigns, as a wrestler, as an individual, as an entertainer, did not do anything wrong. He's done absolutely everything right, everything that he was supposed to, but because of the way WWE's booked this, it's not right. It's not right now. He's once again the wrong person in the wrong place at the wrong time for all the wrong reasons, and it's going to fuck him over personally, and that's unfortunate.
For sure. Well, you know what, man? I think you said it pretty well. This was I thought this was an entertaining show. I enjoyed doing this with you guys. I think we covered a lot of material tonight on a night that may not have had a Raw, which I don't think we've ever seen like this, unless there was someone who legitimately died. But it was an interesting show, and it's going to shape possibly the future of the WWE for years to come. Last night's Royal Rumble. So
you know what? Let me make one more comment here.
Sure.
And I really wish I'd made this earlier in the show. I did catch the first 10 minutes of Raw just to see how they were going to play out tonight's show. Definitely the villain of tonight in the WWE, in Vince McMahon's universe anyway, is the Governor. I mean, they after the remarks the Governor made this afternoon, Vince just went out an all-out tear all over social media, just, making little mocking remarks and little smart-ass things, and just the way that they did it tonight, WWE made it very clear. Our show was shut down because of the Governor. The Governor wouldn't let anybody travel. The Governor put in travel restrictions tonight. The government canceled our show.
Yeah, and there's a lot of bad blood between the two of them, and that's why to start the show, I wanted to talk a little bit about the history of the Malloys, the McMahons, and some of the things that have happened, and there's a little something there. I mean, McMahon spent a lot of his own personal money, I should say Linda's money, to lose.
Linda McMahon for governor.
So, it's interesting stuff, but
she'll make the buses run on time, and there will never be a canceled WWE Raw again.
Dude, Vince did not need this tonight. They needed to be on TV tonight. This hurts them badly.
Well, you know what? It's kind of like how we talk in football. Sometimes you see a referee make a bad call towards the end of the game when the team looks like it's about to make the touchdown, but the team is already like 5 touchdowns behind. That's kind of what it is to me tonight. Yeah, WWE's in bad shape. The snowstorm didn't do them in. They'd already buried themselves.
Right. I mean, I'm just surprised it played out the way it did. I mean, it couldn't have been a worse 48 hours for the WWE. And SmackDown being canceled on top of it tonight. They have a big task Thursday night. Hopefully people actually watch the show, because SmackDown traditionally gets lower ratings. So they're in a real conundrum. Do you go all out and try and make Thursday an epic show? Or do you wait till Monday and let a whole nother week go by? What about that, Kev?
Thursday has to be an epic show. Monday has to be an epic show. It has to be an epic fucking weekend all over WWE Network and WWE.com and social media. They have to put a full court blitz on right now to figure out what the fuck they're going to do.
Over Super Bowl weekend.
Yeah, starting with Super Bowl weekend, and they're going to have to keep it rolling all the way through the NCAA tournament before we even get to WrestleMania.
The McMahon Empire may be over.
I don't know if it's over, but they're going to be badly battered this year.
If the network ratings go down, they will have to sell.
Who do they sell? Who do they sell to? Vic, who do they sell to?
Time Warner.
Wait a minute. They're on USA, which is owned by NBC Universal, which is owned by Comcast.
Really?
Yeah, you didn't know that?
Destination America.
That's the hierarchy there.
Interesting.
So yeah, I mean, maybe if it does really get bad, maybe Comcast has to come in and save WWE. Wow, that's frightening.
They'll be like ESPN, where they charge like $6 to the cable subscriber every month to offer it.
Well, I mean, maybe. I mean, Vince McMahon always wanted WWE Network to be a cable service, cable TV channel. Yeah. Maybe that does it.
If you look at their numbers take a freaking nosedive. I mean, they're gonna have to shit or get off the pot with something. I mean, they're gonna be down by probably 500,000 users after this pay-per-view.
It should certainly
am
be.
Am I off there in the numbers?
I don't think you are.
I mean, at what point do you say? I mean, everybody's. I don't know. It just feels like it's a dying breed. I mean, hey, don't get me wrong. Having all those shows is cool, and I'm sure there's a way you can still do that for network people. We can have access to all the content, but I'd much rather have.
Well, we'll see where it goes from here. It looks like we're cutting out a little bit on the feed, but I think it was a good show tonight. I think we covered a lot of material, and we'll be back next week. Anything you guys want to say to close us off?
I think Vic just dropped off the line, but I don't have anything more to add. Of course, listen to all the other shows on the AngryMarks Podcast Network. listen to the podcast I did with Frank Vaughn on Monday, Undisputed Wrestling Tuesday nights, Glove Up or Shut Up on Wednesday, Thursday night AMP, on Thursday, Impact Implosion on Friday, and hopefully this weekend another episode of SmackDown Rundown. We've kind of been running a little behind on it because of everybody's scheduling. We'll get that fixed somehow, some way.
Awesome. Well, I'm looking forward to the podcast and playing the Royal Rumble one. I apologize I didn't hear you guys yet, but I went to bed after the show and then I woke up and hit work, so really didn't have a chance, but I certainly will. Kev, I know you were pretty passionate tonight. I'm glad we had you on. Not just behind the glass chiming in. This was a good one. I knew tonight we were going to have a good podcast, given all the things going on and all the content. Me and Vic were very passionate about getting on the air tonight, so we're glad we were able to make that happen. And we'll be back next week to go through more.
Weeks from now, WWE Raw Reaction comes out, and they will put on a show smack dab in the middle of Blizzard. Bayville, New Jersey, 12 to 20 inches, and we still have our show tonight. Does Vince McMahon do that for you people? I don't think so.
Nope. Well, thank you, Big Dick. Thank you, Mr. Killer Kev. And thanks to myself, Angry Tensai. And most importantly, thank you, Governor Daniel Malloy, for making us a little more relevant this week than we were last week. Thanks, everyone. This is Killer Kev, Big Dick, Angry Tensai, Raw Reaction. Kev, hit the music.